All right, we are live on Facebook and I am recording. I'm John Mercer, president of the Las Vegas Triathlon Club, and I got Ted Girouard, ambassador of the Las Vegas Triathlon Club, and really the guy who got us going on these video calls and chats about triathlon and sports science. And this one's going to be an interesting one because it's on nutrition. And I guess I need to do a little bit of a disclaimer first, because neither of us are dietitian, neither of us are nutritionists, and that's why we wanted to do this. Is we wanted to talk about nutrition from a non-nutritionist perspective, and not that we're going to present anything contrary, but I think it's more about how we absorb information from the experts and then how we apply it. And I think this will be fun because I think we apply our nutrition tactics a little differently, or we'll find out tonight. That'll be fun. Hey, Ted, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good.
All right. So yeah, I broached this subject with John a few weeks ago, and I was like, you know what we should do? We should talk about what we do. You know, John and I have been in sport a long time. John a little bit longer than me, but a long time. And you know, obviously, like I've been in sports and around sports forever. And I don't know if many of you may or may not know, but my area of expertise is actually I'm an athletic trainer. And so I've been advising people on nutrition, at least the basis of nutrition, for a long time. So that's a component of athletic training. But most of the schooling we do in athletic training and even teaching is more about with team sports. And, you know, like a football team or a basketball team or whatever, not as much into like, you know, endurance sports that we do. So I thought it'd be really awesome to talk about, you know, what's known as the fourth discipline in triathlon, and that's nutrition. But I wanted to approach it from a way, not necessarily, and we can get into it, like our race day nutrition, but our life nutrition and what we do from day to day. And I really believe that what we do from day to day nutrition wise is just as important as what we do day to day training. You know, one of the hallmarks of a good triathlete is that they have consistent training, right? Like day in, day out, you chop the wood, you carry the water, you know, and you just keep going and doing and doing. And nutrition is just as important. Now, I'll be the first to admit, and I've eaten with John, so I can talk for him as well. We don't have what's called, you know, perfect nutrition, right? But we both, I think, are trying to do the best that we can given the situations that we're in. And also to understand that, you know what, we want to live our lives and enjoy our lives, right? I'm pretty sure that, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a company on the internet that will basically sell you gruel that is nutritionally 100% perfect, right? And you pay $200 a month and they'll just send you shakes of gruel. And but that's an enjoyable, right? In prison, you actually get decent nutrition, but it's not enjoyable. So we have to balance what we want to do in triathlon with what we enjoy in eating as well. So there has to be a balance of that. And I think sometimes in nutrition, when we think about the really strict nutrition, when you read like sports nutrition books, there's not always that caveat that, you know, we have to still enjoy our lives and enjoy a good meal with our friends and enjoy a good meal with our families and have that piece of cake and the beer and whatever else we end up doing. So what I thought would be interesting is if kind of I went through what I do for breakfast, and then maybe John can go through what he does. And, you know, maybe we could ask some questions about why we do what we do. But I'm going to start out just talking about just one basic that tenement that I kind of always try to adhere to. And that's trying to balance my protein and my carbohydrate. So it's one of the things that I've done for at least the last 2-3 years is at every meal, I try and have equal amounts of carbohydrate and protein. And then I let fat kind of take care of itself. So we're talking specifically about macronutrients. So as I start to talk about what I eat, just have that's one of my personal underlying philosophies. So for breakfast, almost every day. It's actually really interesting. I'm very consistent with my breakfast. I always have 2 eggs, always. I cook them different all the time. Sometimes scrambled, sometimes over easy, whatever. I always cook them in either olive oil or ghee, so clarified butter. I always have some meat with my breakfast. It just depends. Sometimes it's leftover meat from the night before, so maybe like a meatloaf, or if not, I'll have some like breakfast sausage or sausage, but not a lot. Like about, I don't know, maybe 4 ounces, but whatever meat there is. And then I always have vegetables, grilled vegetables with it. So so this morning was green beans, bell peppers, and squash.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I grill it.
Yeah.
I grill up the vegetables. So I have a pan going of grilled vegetables. Then I add the meat into it. I have another pan going of the eggs, and then I kind of put it all together. Sometimes we do it in one pot, and sometimes I throw a little cheese on the top, sometimes not. And then I usually put a little hot sauce on it because I like hot sauce. And that's my wife and I. We both have that. That's the other thing I can tell you. I do all the cooking in our house.
Oh, okay. Well,
my wife stepped out, so I can say that.
That's good, but I think you are making your way towards bacon there, so that's good.
Exactly. Bacon's on the list.
Yeah.
Right? I forgot to mention it, but yeah. So very religious that's my breakfast. So that, I don't know, about you, John, but that's how I go about it.
No, that's great. Now, I want to, affirm what you said earlier too, in that I don't believe in diet.
Yeah.
I believe in regular meals, regular sustainable, meals that we can eat. But I know the trouble. I know we're going to focus more on our regular diets, but the trouble I've gotten into in races has been nutrition based, and so that's why I do a lot of reading in this area, and I know you do as well, is trying to figure that out. But it does come back to your regular diet, even though diet's a funny word.
Yeah.
And so, no, I am a lot like you on breakfast. I really have 2 choices. I wake up and I either have 2 eggs, toast, and coffee, or I'll do oatmeal, and I'll add walnuts, almonds, some type of fruit, and maybe it's a frozen strawberry, maybe it's fresh strawberries, maybe it's banana, and I do alternate between those 2, but I don't do vegetables. If I do meat in breakfast, it would usually be a bacon, but my wife buys a really good bacon. Is there such a thing? But those are my 2 choices really for breakfast. Eggs, and like you, I'll scramble them. Maybe I will fry them with bread. I do oil as well instead of butter. If I do butter, I'll do that when I'll put a little bread and butter into the frying pan.
Let me ask you what kind of oil you use.
I do the olive oil.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the reading that I've done, and I'm pretty sure you've done as well, is that olive oil is kind of the king as far as nutritional, the nutritional components of it. So I'm glad that you're doing that as well. So
yeah, well, I went out for coffee this morning with Laura, and I actually ordered the oatmeal at Sunrise Cafe, and they actually put peanut butter in the oatmeal. And they didn't have any syrup, and that is my weakness, is a little bit of sugar. And now I'm thinking maybe I'm going to add peanut butter, but it's got to be a good peanut butter. Can't be.
Yeah, or like an almond butter or something like that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that it's interesting. Like to me, you eat less than I do for breakfast.
Well, and it's funny. Actually, I get up and I do a run first. So
yeah, well, this is post run.
Yeah,
I can't eat that and then run. Like I have usually a cup of coffee. I didn't mention that. I have a cup, usually decaf.
Yeah.
Have a cup of decaf coffee, and then I go for a run. On the mornings I run. I usually run every other day.
Okay.
And so then I definitely don't do this before I run. I can do this before I ride, especially if I'm going like a long like 4 hour, 3 hour ride. I can do that, but not before I run.
Okay, so on a regular run or regular day, I'll run, 4 miles. I will do that fasted, but on Saturday I'll do a long run, and I do eat before that.
Is that
So
when you do more oatmeal that day though?
I'll do either the oatmeal or I'll do a bagel and peanut butter.
So you do more of a carbohydrate
Yeah,
centric.
but
Yep.
then I add the peanut butter on to get a little bit of protein as well.
Yeah.
And with the oatmeal, I'm adding in the walnuts and the almonds for sure when I do that. And then I do use maple syrup, the good maple syrup.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah,
You're married to a Canadian.
there is a difference.
You know, being a Canadian myself, there's nothing but Canadian maple syrup in my house.
Yeah.
I can tell you
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
And then, and I don't feel bad about having a little maple syrup. You know, as a tenement, again, I'm going to keep using that word. I like to use, I like to have some sugar, but I time it, like I have my sugar around my training.
Yeah.
And, if I was to, and I'll talk about my lunch actually, I say, let's do that and I'll get into that. So my lunch is very unusual as well.
Okay.
And
Let's
my
hear
lunch
it.
has changed a lot since I haven't been going to work. Right. So
Yes,
like
that's true. Yeah.
when I'm home, I've definitely selected, because to go to work, I'm like you, I ride my bike to work a lot. So usually Mondays I bring my lunch for the week. So I kind of pre-package my lunch for the week. And I'm going to blow people's minds when I tell them what I have for lunch. So I'll give you my work lunch, and then I'll give you my now lunch. So I make a gruel.
Really?
For lunch. So, and it changes week to week. So the base is usually riced cauliflower and riced broccoli mixed together. I cook it. Okay. Then I add in, this is almost embarrassing to share this with people. Now the people in my office that are close to me, they know, because they smell what I cook, because I actually end up cooking it. So this is cooked, and then I cool it and then reheat it.
Okay.
So I cook that. Sometimes I'll add some butternut squash or kombucha squash. And they're frozen. I get them at Trader Joe's usually, these first ingredients. I cook them up nice and hot so they get soft. Then I mix in protein powder, and I go about 30 grams of protein. Usually it varies. Sometimes it's vanilla, sometimes it's strawberry. Then I put in usually some berries into that. Blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, doesn't matter.
Yep, that sounds good.
Into there. Then I sweeten it with monk fruit and stevia. So usually a combination of monk fruit and stevia. And then I put some collagen powder in as well. And sometimes some cinnamon. And it actually ends up tasting kind of like a bread pudding.
Interesting.
And I'll actually even throw in some oats too. So I throw in some oats.
So do you make a big batch of this?
Yeah, I make a huge bowl of it on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And then I got glass containers.
Right.
And then I just bring like 4 glass containers to work and put them in. I got a little fridge in my office, put them in my fridge, and then at lunch I heat it up.
Okay.
And, it's super easy. And then oftentimes I also will bring in some just individual yogurts, and then I actually put yogurt on top of it as well.
Oh, wow. This is quite the...
It's quite a thing, honestly.
Concoction.
I actually got the idea from listening to Fitter Radio.
Okay.
So this was one of the hosts, Mickey's.
Mickey, yeah. She's great.
Her recipes was basically a rice cauliflower oatmeal. And with protein powder. And that's kind of how I started out. And then I just started adding more things to it. Yep. And honestly, I totally love it. And I've been missing it. I've been traveling a lot, and I really haven't had access to all the ingredients I need. So yeah.
So is it a sweet tasting gruel, or is it? Yeah.
It's like I said, it kind of tastes like a little bit like a bread pudding with some.
Yeah.
Some
Okay.
And I love it. And
interesting.
It's very low sugar, but there's quite a bit of carbohydrates because we're getting the carbohydrates. Once again, I'm having a lot of vegetables.
Yep.
Because it's vegetable based. I rarely have meat at breakfast or at lunch.
Yep.
That's normally my my thing. So I'll let you go, and then I'll tell you what I've been eating.
Okay. So yeah, I think I'm like you, is that my pre-COVID-19 lunch is different than what I'm doing right now. And so going into work, like you, I bike in, so I take in, or I try to take in my lunch, but this is where I am a little bit weak in getting my lunches prepped. So if we have leftovers, I'll grab that from dinner and try to take that in a Tupperware. But sometimes I'm just too wrapped up in the day and I just don't get it ready. So I am guilty of going out and buying lunch more frequently at work than taking lunch. So, but my one famous lunch is every Monday I go to Capriati's.
Yep.
I get my Philly cheesesteak and I get a brownie, and I enjoy that. That's my Monday work week treat. And I'll order that, walk down to Capriati's, pick it up. And sometimes I like to have meetings there as well, just to double up that. And then I'll go for sushi down there. And I also am guilty of going over to Jack in the Box over on Flamingo and Swenson and getting the chicken teriyaki. At least it sounds a little better. I used to do pizza, but I started getting away from pizza. And then if I'm really rushed for time, I do run into the Subway, but I can't. Subway for me is just that's too processed. And so I have a hard time with that. Nothing against Subway, but I guess we're not here to plug or.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that it's too processed. You and I think are both of the belief that if we limit processed foods is kind of a pillar.
Yep. No, that is, and you're right. That is something that I really, and that's probably something in the last couple of years I've really tried to focus on, is just less processed. So the question is, what's processed and what's not?
Because everything's processed. Yeah.
Everything is processed to a certain degree. I just try to limit how much processed food, so I try not to do the cold cuts anymore. I try not to eat things that are packaged. You try to eat things that have been dead recently, I think is the way that was described to me. And then that's non-processed. All right. So that's my pre-COVID 19. And again, leftovers could be anything that we have for dinner. And I'm fortunate, my wife she doesn't like to cook, but she likes to cook more than I like to cook. So she's really good about making good meals. And then I try to take whatever that's left over for lunch.
So John, do you want to know why I like to cook?
Why?
Why I like to cook?
Why?
It's because then I get to eat exactly what I want.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I actually dislike going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I wouldn't make it like this. Like, why is there only 6 shrimp?
Mm-hmm.
I want 8.
Yeah. True.
Why is there only this? Like, it would be really good here if we put a little bit of broccoli in there. Man, that would be so much better. And it's, to me, like having the control like that, it's really good. Like, I like the places where you kind of make your own. So
yeah, that's true.
There's the Blaze Pizza place, like where you can say, okay, I want that, I want that, I want that. Like, I like that.
Well, and this is why it's nice going to Capriati's every Monday, is because they know me there, and they, I talk with them about, hey, this was a good sub, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, well, so
they're gonna start to name it Mercer.
I get a little bit more personalized sandwich at Capriati's. So
yeah.
All right, let's hear your post-COVID or your current lunch.
Okay, so I haven't really shared this with the group live yet, but some of I've been on the road for now. This is week 10 of living out of a suitcase, and this is my last week. We're going to be back in Vegas on Sunday, and so that's been a challenge because pretty much every week we've been staying at a different Airbnb, and so by the end of the week we want to have no food left. Right, because then we got to travel with the food, and that's
okay. That's good.
A little bit of a challenge. So and I hate to say it, but I've been eating more processed food as well, just because the nature of
Right.
not being in your own place.
And not knowing where to go to get food.
Yeah, that's the other thing is
Yep.
like, you don't know, like,
Yep.
you know, but we actually have found some unbelievable little places,
Yeah.
but then you go to the next town and you don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So for lunch, I normally have yogurt as
Okay.
kind of my base with fruit.
What kind of yogurt?
Some oatmeal or some granola. Sorry, some granola and some nuts and protein powder.
What kind of yogurt?
Just like a Greek yogurt.
Okay.
Actually, I usually mix. I've actually found some really awesome yogurt recently that it has. It's the Faya brand, and it's only sweetened with the fruit.
Okay.
And so it has no added sugar, so I love that. And so I usually have one of those, and then I mix it with like a Greek yogurt, like just a plain.
Okay.
So I get even less kind of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And but once again, I'm trying to balance out the protein and the carbohydrates. And then I also do full fat yogurt. I'm of the belief that fat is not the enemy at all. So and then I have that, and then I also have to admit I snack a lot. You know,
Let's do snacks separate.
But most of you know that John and I, we train a lot.
Yeah.
Like we put in a lot of hours. Like, you know, it's not unusual for either of us to do 15 to 20 hours a week.
Right.
So one of my challenges, honestly, historically, has been eating enough. Like not actually eating enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it sounds like a weird problem because, you know, I've struggled with my body image a lot. Mm-hmm. And just having what I consider excess body weight for racing. And and honestly, like I came to the conclusion a couple of years ago that I just wasn't eating enough, and going through a lot of injuries. And so it's interesting, on this trip I've been on, one of the things I've told myself is I'm going to try and eat even more. And this has been for me, this 9 weeks has been the healthiest I've been at this training load, the training load I've ever been. And I really believe it's because I've been increasing the calories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we can get into the snacking, but go ahead. Let's talk about yours.
Well, no, and I think that's great. And you're out of the heat, and that's good.
Yep.
I do need to say Luigi is watching here. Uh-oh. And Luigi is a fantastic cook. If you don't follow Luigi on Instagram, he'll post his meals, and he does a really good job of a variety of things that he cooks up. So we got a little bit of pressure on us right now.
Uh-oh.
So,
and he just completed a nutrition a certificate as well. Yeah. So
there you go. Okay, my lunch now. I think I got you beat on this one.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy a salad, and what I do is I get a big mixing bowl, and I throw some greens in there. Any dark green leafy vegetable. I start with that, not iceberg lettuce. You know, something dark green. And then I start just going to town on this. This is like your gruel, I think. Yep. I put walnuts in, I do almonds, I do pumpkin seeds, I do sesame seeds, I do a lot of nuts, and then I'll add in maybe some fruit, maybe depending on if we have strawberries or blueberries. I'll add in dates cut up. I'll add in half an avocado or a good chunk of avocado. And then if we have any protein around, like if I was able to sneak in and barbecue a steak without lauracine, then I'll cut up the steak and throw that in, or some chicken, or even some tofu, believe it or not. I'm not a big tofu eater, but certainly adding it to the salad is good. And then I'll throw in some oil, some vinegar, balsamic vinegar, and some salt. And I'll eat that, and that I'll add in some feta cheese as well, just to round it out. So, and I'll just sit there with a big bowl of this, and I don't think you can overeat salad.
Hard to do. There was a while that I was having a huge salad for lunch every day.
Yeah.
And I actually was getting to the point, believe it or not, I was having too much fiber.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Like that's a real problem when you start eating a lot of vegetables. So I still get a lot of vegetables in. You know, especially when you start your day with vegetables. But I was like, I can't remember how many grams I calculated one day of how many grams of fiber. And I'm like, holy cow, this
Yeah.
isn't even on the list of
Right.
the top end. No wonder I'm having so much GI issues.
That's right. Well, oh, that's good. And oh gosh, actually, the other thing, Laura will get these tuna packets,
Yeah.
and I'll throw those in there too for like you trying to get the protein in
Yeah.
at that point. Now, what I'll also do, and leading in towards snacks. Well, okay, I do like quesadillas too, so I will take a couple of tortillas. Not when I have the salad. I'll do one or the other, and I'll just fry up a tortilla with cheese and
So easy.
eat that. Yeah, no, I just that
We
just fills me up.
we do that a lot too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then leading towards snacks, I do something very similar with shakes. So I really like to make shakes. I use a NutriBullet, throw in a little ice. I throw in, again, dark green leafy vegetables, whatever frozen vegetable or frozen fruit I've got. We like to put in bananas and freeze those, frozen strawberries, blueberries. I don't like blackberries or raspberries in my shakes, but I'll get pineapple. I'll throw that in. I'll add in some protein powder.
So your shake sounds a lot like my lunch.
It does. It does.
If
Yeah, that's
don't
interesting.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah. And forgetting one, I'll throw in some yogurt in that as well, some Greek yogurt.
It's funny. That literally is my lunch. It's just you're just putting into a shake.
Yeah, that's true. And that fills you up. It's good.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I like it. Oh.
Okay, how about dinner? Should we start
Well,
on that?
oh, you want to do dinner or snacks?
Let's do dinner, dessert,
Yeah. Okay.
and then snacking all day.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So dinner, I'll lead off on this one,
Okay.
and I just totally lean on Laura, and I'll usually go about 4 o'clock. So what are we having for dinner? And then she said, I don't know yet. And then we get into this funny banter back and forth. But she takes care of dinner, and we do try to sit down at times and say what we like and what we don't like. So she mixes it up really nicely with protein, fish, meat, chicken, mixing up the different types of fish as well. We've been doing this farmer's basket, which has been fantastic. And so we'll pick one up either every week or every other week and just do lots of vegetables. So last night I took a bunch of vegetables and put them on the barbecue and just roasted them. And then we just eat those, throw them in all sorts of things. Potatoes, we'll do the same thing with, put them on the barbecue. Usually I do that on Sunday and, do a whole bunch of potatoes and vegetables, and then just add them to whatever meat we may be having for that night. So that's usually what a dinner looks like.
It's funny. I would just almost say ditto. Like that's basically what I do. I tend to grill vegetables again and some fish, ideally, but not always. Some beef, some pork, just some kind of protein. Once again, trying to balance my protein and carbohydrates, and sweet potatoes. I'm a big fan, especially in the fall, of squash. I like roasted pumpkin. I like roasted butternut squash. I really am a big fan of those things. I don't really say I eat seasonal, but that's the season you get the good squash.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
And the one thing I think you've mentioned it already as well is like I'm a big fan of frozen vegetables and frozen fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you I don't know about you, but I try my best. It's hard when I've been traveling, but to eat organic.
Yeah.
And organic fruits and vegetables can be quite expensive, but if you buy them frozen, they're not nearly as expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're picked ripe. If you're going to cook them anyways, or put them in a smoothie or put them in your yogurt or whatever, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make much difference. But honestly, like that is pretty close to what I do. We're in a little bit of a situation normally because we swim on Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Our swim is at either 7 or 7:30, depending on the time of the year.
Okay.
So that becomes a difficult one because I can't really eat before I swim. I got to have about 2 hours before. And so oftentimes on those nights, if we don't eat till like 9 or 9:30, it'll just be a little bit like just a little lighter,
Mm-hmm.
But but more because of convenience. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I don't know, not as easy to get home at 9 o'clock or 9:30 and cook something and then,
No,
and then go to bed at 10.
no, but you know what's interesting in listening to both of us, we have a routine.
Yeah.
And you and I both talk about the virtues of having a coach, because a lot of time the coach will help make decisions for you, and takes that element of indecisiveness out. And I think that's what I've done with my diet is, I know what I'm going to have for breakfast, I know what I'm going to have for lunch, and I know what that. So it's one less thing to be thinking about. So
Yeah,
even though you
one
have
less one less decision, right? And
yeah,
decisions in life are stress.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like since we've been working from home, I stress so much less about what to wear.
yeah, that's right.
Right? Oh, what do I have a meeting today with this person? Oh, I got to wear something nicer. Or
Yeah,
now it's just like t-shirt,
no,
shorts. It's pretty
no,
like that little bit of stress of making that decision. You're right. It helps you.
and I think that's what's nice about your routine. You say, well, I swim Tuesday and Thursday. That's perfect. That's your routine. Then you build your regular diet around that, and when you're going to eat and what you're going to eat, and
Yeah.
it's not as stressful. So yeah.
Okay, let's talk about dessert, because that's actually I have dessert every night
Mm-hmm.
religiously. I view that as my chance to kind of fill up on my get enough calories for the day.
Okay.
I was recently talking to a person I've been, I consult with some athletes, and we were talking about his diet, and he was using MyFitnessPal, and he was burning about 4,000 calories a day,
Yeah.
and he was religiously eating about 3,200, 3,300 calories a day.
Okay.
And I said to him, I said, how long is that sustainable for?
Yeah. Right.
And he said, well, I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. I'm like, okay, but like that's not sustainable for forever,
No.
because you would turn into 0 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's not how things
Yep.
work. But you're going to get endocrine disruption and all these other issues. And so we started talking about, well, maybe like 2 or 3 days a week, you should try and at least match
Mm-hmm.
what you're getting. So, and I did it a few years ago where I was using MyFitnessPal and really paid attention. And I was like under calories by 600 or 700 at least almost every day.
Yep.
And it's not sustainable.
No, it's not.
So now I started looking at, if I eat like this, then I need something at the end of the day to top it up. So I try and balance off my life with my training with my dessert.
Okay.
So for example, if I train 3 hours that day, then I'm going to say I'm going to have that much dessert.
Mm-hmm.
If I train 1 hour, I'm going to have that much.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't train, I'm still going to have that much. Just
Okay.
I got a base.
Yeah.
But if I go like on a big day, like a 4 or 5 hour bike ride, I'm going to have a big dessert.
Yep.
And like, that's almost like my little reservoir
Mm-hmm.
of the day is my dessert. And I am, once again, very consistent with my dessert.
Okay.
I make myself a either frozen kefir or frozen yogurt bowl.
Okay.
So frozen kefir is amazing, by the way, if no one's ever tried it.
Yeah, I like that a lot, but I have to watch how much dairy
Lactose.
I take in.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with dairy. I thought I did for a while, and I went
Yep.
like 2 months completely dairy free and didn't change anything. So I was
Yep.
like, well, I guess I'm good with it. But
I haven't frozen the kefir though. That sounds good.
so good. So what I do is I take the kefir or yogurt. If I do yogurt, I actually mix it with milk or almond milk
Yeah.
to get the kind of the same consistency. Then I add in, depending on how many calories I think I need, maybe a little bit more protein powder, collagen,
Mm-hmm.
or gelatin, because the evening glycine is really important for you. It helps you sleep, and it's good. It's actually good for your gastrointestinal system as well. So gelatin goes in there, and or collagen. And I actually am a connoisseur of berry powders.
Oh, interesting.
So Amazon has the most amazing things if you start to look. So right now I'm traveling with, and actually I just got another order, and as you travel, you can get stuff sent ahead to Amazon boxes. But strawberry powder, awesome.
Yep.
So you eat organic strawberries that have been dehydrated and then powdered. I do blackberry powder, what's the other one?
Blueberry?
Yeah, blueberry powder.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Arpedo's work now.
Exactly. So I utilize these things, and and all it does, it just flavors the thing for me. Because I actually buy like unsweetened kefir or unsweetened yogurt usually as the base. So then I put in whatever powder. Oh, black currant. That's the one. New Zealand black currant.
Wow.
Super good for the nitric oxide boosting.
All right.
So I mix it all up with my hand usually, and then I just throw it in the freezer right before I start making dinner.
Okay.
And then by the time I finish dinner and just kind of settle down a little bit, it's ready to go. And it's the consistency of like almost like froyo, but it's like on the edges, it's a little harder. In the middle, but then I kind of mix it up.
Yep.
I usually sprinkle a little bit of granola on it, just for a little crunch, and that's my dessert.
All right, I am going to try that because I have had success with using kefir, and I don't know why that's different, but
well, actually, the kefir I get, I think it's lactose free.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's.
I think it's the Lifeway brand, or no, there's another one that's lactose free. So you can get a lactose free one.
Because what I used to do is I'd do a big bowl of yogurt.
Yeah.
I mean big. And then I'd add a bunch of granola, berries, and fruit and all that. And that would be my dessert. But I was having, oh man, just too much GI problems the next day. So finally have cut that down. But I'll have to try the kefir. That sounds pretty good.
Because I'm like, if I could choose, and I do it sometimes, I would choose ice cream every night.
Yeah.
I love ice cream. But I basically, I'm kind of hacking my ice cream. I'm kind of making my own.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't tell you, I also sweeten it with monk fruit and or stevia.
Okay.
And so it honestly, it's like, to me, it tastes like an ice cream. And
that sounds good. Yeah.
But I feel like I'm cheating the system.
Okay, so let's take a step back. You talked about, sustaining or having a caloric deficit of like 600.
Yeah.
It's good to make sure everyone knows there's about 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. And so if you have that deficit day in, day out, you can't sustain it. So
well, you can.
Yeah.
You'll be very unhealthy though. You'll start to get injured a lot, and
your training response will go down.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. And then you bounce back and you don't have a good overall sustainable diet. Okay, so my dessert.
Your dessert. I'm excited to hear this.
Okay, so I told you about the yogurt. I had to cut back. I cut that back. I also have hard time sleeping at times, so I had to cut back and eat chocolate. So I love chocolate, but I will sneak in maybe a cube of some dark chocolate just to have a little bit of sweet tooth. And I used to be a big dessert person, but I have cut that back. And that's one area that I've just tried to reduce the amount of sugar I have at night, just to try to help with a good sleep pattern. But that's where I'm at right now. And I do love ice cream. What I usually do on the weekends, even though I don't believe in cheater foods, I still will go and buy a little tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, different flavors. And sometimes it's just, a few different spoonfuls of that, and that's enough to hold me over. So I don't really actually classify that as having a full dessert, because it's usually I'm just trying to whet my appetite, I guess, of sugar at night. So
yeah, it's a difficult balance, the sugar at night, because like even with my kind of crazy thing I described, there's actually not a lot of sugar in it.
No. Well, that's why I'm going to try that. That's a great idea.
But you still do want to replenish your sugar, some carbohydrates at night, right? And you are right. Like too much carbohydrates I think is a problem, at least from my understanding. But especially if you're going to be training the next morning, you don't want to go into that training session completely depleted of carbohydrates either.
Well, and I remember when we talked with Nicole Kiley last time, she said try protein at night, and so actually I have been trying to do a protein drink at night as well. I don't do it as frequently, but
you should try and add some of the gelatin to it.
Oh, okay.
Because gelatin, that's where you get glycine.
Yeah.
And also it's good for your collagen synthesis.
Yeah.
I get mine. It's the company, I think it's called Great Lakes,
Okay.
Great Lakes beef gelatin.
Mm.
Get it once again from Amazon. I don't have it with me. I wish
Yeah.
I wish I did. But yeah, and it actually, if you're going to do something like that, it actually provides a little bit of texture.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't make it into Jello. I do
Right.
make Jello from time to time with it, but I don't,
Yeah.
typically make it into Jello.
Well, see, it's funny. I grew up, we always had dessert every night, whether it
Yeah.
be cake, a jello, or something. And that was one of our, our regular meal, part of our regular meals every night. But I have cut back a bit on that. So,
So let's talk about some snacks.
okay, wait, before we do that,
Oh,
I got
go
one
ahead.
more. What's your go-to drink?
Uh,
What are you drinking during the day?
Seltzer water,
Soda water?
soda water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drink like 2 liters a day
Yeah.
of soda water. And
Yeah.
I love the taste of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I already told you I mostly drink decaf. Depending on how I sleep the night before, if I've had a really good sleep, I drink decaf. If I'm a little bit, then I'll usually have a half decaf.
Mhm.
And I probably will have like 3 or 4 cups of coffee,
Okay.
decaf coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And then around noon, I switch to seltzer water
Mhm.
and drink that. And not obviously, I don't drink seltzer water while I'm training, but I'm just saying,
Okay.
just
Yeah. Right. 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 So I'm the same way, and enjoy the coffee with some cream in the morning.
yep.
But I have to stop drinking coffee about 10 a.m. Try not to have any caffeine after that. And then it is all soda water. And, yeah, I mean, we got the Soda Stream, and
Yep.
I drink this. But that was how I was able to stop my Pepsi and Coke uh, habit, if you will. And it really has helped a ton. I used to drink up to 6 Pepsis a day,
Oh,
and yeah, that was a lot.
do
And
you
so
do you use flavoring in your soda waters?
no, I don't. I
They
actually like.
sell, they sell all those little,
Yep,
yeah.
I've tried them, but I actually just like the salsa water, the soda water part of it.
So I like that just the plain, but I usually buy like a 2 liter bottle. Like it'll
Yep,
be grapefruit one day,
yep.
green, whatever. I kind of I like a little bit of flavor.
And Laura likes the soda waters in a can, so every now and then I'll pop open one of those that has a lemon or a grapefruit like that as well. But typically, I just fill this up. I've got 2 of these bottles sitting around. I'll fill it up at night, and so it's nice and cold, and stick it in the Soda Stream, and that's just so refreshing. And so that's how I was able. And I think that's something that. So we're going to get the snacks here. That's something that I've had to force myself to do, is find what I can have and not just focus on what I can't have. So
Yeah,
I knew I was drinking too much soda, but I was like, well, I need something to replace it. I can't just stop drinking soda.
yeah,
And so then eventually came across this Soda Stream, and that's how I was able to get rid of it.
awesome. It's interesting how similar a lot of our stuff is. And just so everybody knows, we didn't talk about this before.
No, we didn't.
So the one thing that I kind of a long time ago decided that is I didn't want to ever drink my calories
Yeah.
because I really enjoy eating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if I have a soda water or if I have a Coke, and the enjoyability is about the same for me. And I
Yeah.
think it's the same with you. But having a Coke versus having some food, I'd much rather have food.
That's right. That's right.
And then if and we said we're going to talk a little bit about what we read, but one thing that's pretty ubiquitous in the literature is that if you drink sugar, you are going to have more negative effects than if you eat sugar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because of the speed of transport into the system when you drink it. And you can have the same amount of calories of drinking sugar or eating sugar, and the drinking is going to be way worse for you. And there's lots of things that it's way worse for you on, but obviously blood sugar regulation and inflammation is triggered more by drinking it than it is by eating it.
Well, okay, so now let's go over to a race strategy. This is something that does seem to help people, is if you can't take something in, you can swish and spit, and you can still get a benefit just by taking sugar into your mouth, because your brain actually starts to think it's going to get this sugar, and you may actually be able to
That's
help
one of my
yourself.
that's one of my big secrets. Well, we talked about it already when Nicole was on
Yeah,
about
that's right.
the
That's
jelly
right.
beans,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if I'm going to do a race or even not a triathlon, let's say a Zwift race,
Yep.
and just before the Zwift race, like 10 minutes before, I'm eating jelly beans, and I probably only have like 10 of them, so it's
Yeah.
like 40 calories. But I feel like, oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
right.
And if I'm out riding and I know there's a climb coming and I want to go hard on that climb, like I want to go get a segment on the Strava or whatever,
Yeah.
pound a few jelly beans,
Yeah.
and it's not enough calories, but
Nope.
it's you're right. It's the sensation in your mouth.
And there's no time for it to be digested. So no, there's the brain's picking up on that. So
Yeah. Good.
that's good. Okay, so now let's go to snacks. What do you snack on?
Okay, so like you, I love dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I start eating dark chocolate usually around 10:30 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll pretty much have like a half a bar a day, pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But and I love dark chocolate. Like,
Yeah,
if
right.
it's not 85% or higher,
No.
like I'll even do the 100%. I go like I don't know. Maybe it's because I like the bitterness of coffee.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy bitter tasting things,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I that's probably the number one snack. Number two, and once again, not like eating while I'm training,
Yeah.
not fuel. I would say probably fruit. Like
Yeah.
I really like berries, and yeah, berries are probably my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of interesting research on the health benefits of berries. So if I'm going to have something that's a snack like that, I want to have something.
And a good berry. I mean, that's like, that's why we've enjoyed this farmer's basket we get, because they're so, man, you taste those strawberries and they are good.
I was in Oregon for the last month, and
Oh, yeah.
you live there. It's berry season.
Yeah. Oh,
Like we were going to all the little farmers markets, and like,
yeah.
okay, basket of that, and it's like so good, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I think also like you, I snack on nuts a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like walnuts, almonds, pistachios.
Mm-hmm.
I like them. I pretty much like them all.
Yeah.
I also, when I'm in Vegas, I smoke my own nuts. So I have a smoker,
Oh, really?
and I love smoking nuts.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds interesting.
I'll make you some when I'm back.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You really like those. But I smoke them with like a little bit of maple
Yep.
syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, really.
Okay, that's all right. Now I'm
I had to
stealing
eat,
this.
just so you know, I had to eat before we did this.
I'm giving you nothing here. I'm taking all your stuff here. That's because I love getting some smoked almonds, just to chew on, and some nice salt, and that's good. But I hadn't thought about trying to smoke. I've done dried jerky that way, and
Yeah.
that's been good. But I never could get it to where I would get into a good routine and do it on a regular basis. So
The nice thing is you could do a really big bowl.
yeah.
The bad thing is a really big bowl still goes really quickly because it tastes so good.
Yeah, that's right. That's the problem. And so we actually, this is where I have no willpower with some snacks. So we can't buy chips because we'll eat them, and every now and then we may get them, but we really try to minimize having foods around that we don't want. And then going back to what are we going to replace that with? We can take this out. Now, what are we going to put there? And so having nuts around is really good. I really lean towards the cashew. That's a good nut. I do like the chocolate. I like mixing my cashews and chocolate together. I do bagel and toast as my staple, and that's, I've got to figure out a better snack than that. I will do a little bit of yogurt. I just try to manage that and throw in some granola, and throw in some fresh fruit that way as well. Those are my main snacks now. I may grab a tortilla if I just want to have something to eat. I just throw it in the microwave for 10 seconds and heat it up a little bit.
Put a little cheese on it.
No, not for a snack. I won't.
I'll just put a little shredded cheese on mine. Same thing, like throw it in for 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah. No, but I have done a tortilla and cream cheese. So
yeah,
and roll that up. That's good.
So So other than that, any other good snacks that you are regular?
No, not that's
Fruit?
yeah. I mean, we have fruit around, but if I'm going to do fruit, I'll make a smoothie more so than
Okay.
just eat fruit. And, Lord likes to have the fruit around and have a fruit bowl, but I tend to do. I'll throw it in a shake at that point and do that.
So I I'm really interested in this next question I'm going to ask you. Um, what are foods that you won't eat because of the knowledge that you've gained that you think that is just not good for me? Other than the processed food, which we already talked about,
Yeah.
is there like you just mentioned chips? Like
Yep.
chips are a no for
Chips
you.
are off. Yeah, we can't get them.
Okay.
We enjoy
So
them, but
what,
we just
so what are other things that are on the off list? Because I've had things on the off list that creep back in, but I still have a hard like not gonna do it.
okay. So one that we took off the list a while ago was Velveeta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and when we came here to Las Vegas, we were starving students before that. All of a sudden, we had a little bit of a paycheck, and now we could get this thing called Velveeta, and we can make this con queso sauce and have chips and we were eating it every night. And I remember walking down the because we could never afford that before.
Yeah.
I remember walking down the grocery aisle and looking for the Velveeta, and I'm like, why is cheese not in the refrigerated section? And then I looked at the ingredients and I was like, we've been eating that. Well, that also is where I ballooned up to well over 200 pounds at that point, because so now we've taken that off list and I can't eat it anymore. And there's lots of actually foods like that are highly processed that I used to eat that I can't eat. But Velveeta's top on the list.
Okay. Any other like big things?
Well,
Or even like categories. So you mentioned like lactose or dairy is
yeah, just still trying to figure some things out, but I can tolerate some yogurt, but some types of yogurts I can't tolerate. And so I really tried to avoid those. Um, yeah, I don't know. What else you know, things that I used to enjoy that back in high school, we used to get those Hostess lemon pies. I don't know if you remember those. Those were
yeah, for
great.
sure.
But man, I can't touch those now. I think that they're not made the same way anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I was more of a fan of processed foods and really just try to not have those. Those that I can't come up with anything else right away. But I guess maybe now I've really cut out the cold cuts. That's where I've cut back on as well. How about you? What are your no
So there's a few that are like absolutely never. So I've been gluten free for about 3 years now,
foods? Okay.
and I feel like I feel better when I've been gluten free, but I don't know for sure. But for sure, I don't know. It's not been that difficult of a lifestyle change for me. Um, I I don't know. That's one thing for sure. I've dabbled in almost everything. Like I told you,
Mhm.
I went dairy free. I went low FODMAP for a while. I went no nightshades for a while because
Yeah.
I've had GI issues and I've been trying to figure them out. And so I've done elimination diets and I've done add-in diets and still I honestly still struggle with
Yep.
gastrointestinal issues. So a few other big ones like I avoid soy.
Mm.
Um, so, and I don't know how good the science on it, but supposedly it's proestrogenic, and I don't necessarily want to have any more estrogen in my system than I can,
Mhm.
I'm already, getting enough of those proestrogen poisons from plastics and stuff like
Yep.
that. I also avoid flaxseed
Oh,
completely.
interesting. Okay.
So once again, my reading on that is flaxseed is actually the most estrogenic thing you could take.
Really interesting.
And so I don't like, that's one I definitely shy away from. So soy and flaxseed are probably the two things that most people would probably think are relatively healthy, but I I avoid. I really also avoid as much as I can vegetable oils.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's true.
I really like the chips are easy for me
Yeah.
unless they're cooked in avocado oil
Yeah. Right.
or coconut oil or something. Then I'm like, oh, okay, well, because I'm avoiding it because of the oil.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting. It's hard to find sometimes like good chips that are not cooked in,
No.
are not cooked in the vegetable oils. So I definitely like that's a big one for me. And the going gluten free and the oil free actually kind of went hand in hand because I won't eat anything fried.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got that coating on it, and then it's
Yep.
most likely fried in vegetable oils. But other than that, I don't think there's any really like things that I just from a health standpoint, I choose not to eat. There's a few things I don't like, but
Yeah.
it's not that I would choose to eat. And then I think I mentioned it already is that I don't like to drink my calories.
Yeah. Right.
So I guess unless it's around training, I avoid sugar. Like
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid sugar. It's honestly on my road trip, it's been really hard,
Oh yeah.
especially when you're driving a lot. And
No, you stop and get gas and,
yeah,
foods that are right there. And,
yeah,
we're all guilty of, well, we got to get to the next place soon. So,
yeah,
we got 15 minutes, let's go. And even
yeah,
though it probably doesn't matter if we take longer or not. So,
yeah. And then yeah. So those are kind of the hard no's for me. So John, we're coming up to almost an hour, but I really want to know from you is your go-to training fuel. So
mhm.
not race fuel. Like if I know you're famous for your 100-mile ride to Searchlight. So what do you eat during something like that?
So this continues to be my weakness is finding the right fuel, and I've tried all different ones from Morton to S fuel to UCAN, and I'm continuing to still struggle. Part of it is because I don't train at race intensity, and I know that's one of my problems. But I don't train at race intensity because I believe in consistent training, and
Yeah.
I'll sacrifice the intensity, and I'd rather do 6 days of training just the way I am. And so this is why I continue to struggle with it. But right now I'm using more nuts and nut butters on the rides. And the last one I just did, I actually did really feel a need to have some carbohydrate. So I picked up a soda at Searchlight and a Rice Krispie treat, which, on one hand, that has a little bit more fat, but it has a lot of sugar. And I drank and ate that. But then also just using like a nut butter, the F-bomb type of product in UCAN, sort of the starch, if you will.
So did you feel like you had some rocket fuel in you on the way back with the Rice Krispie and the soda?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't tend to have, quick responses. Usually if I have a quick response, it's a negative response.
Okay.
And my stomach will go offline, and then all of a sudden I won't be able to take in anything.
Yeah.
But I've been, trying to do better with trying to separate out my calories from my hydration plan.
Yeah.
And I use a Camelback. I'll take a 3-liter thing of water, and I'll freeze that overnight, and I'll fill that up in Searchlight. And that's my hydration, is my water. And then I try to have my calories in another source. So whether that be solidish, like a nut butter type of thing, or the UCAN, like a concentrated drink that I can sip with a bit of electrolytes. But then I've been focusing more on the hydration and trying to take in less calories. I think I'm zeroing in how many calories I can take. Of course, it changes with weather and
Yep.
intensity. But I think when I've gotten into trouble before, I probably have taken in too many calories in a period of time, and that overloaded, and it's hard to recover at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a challenge a lot of us have
Yeah.
is, fueling adequately. Cause like, a 5-hour ride or a 4-hour ride, you're looking at, 2,500,
Yeah.
3,500 calories,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't take that in.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, you and I are pretty similar in this. Was we do a lot of long, slow training, so we're not necessarily burning a ton of carbohydrates.
Right.
Our substrate is probably most likely fat,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still going through a lot of carbohydrates. Like,
Yep.
let's not kid ourselves. You're bonking out at the bottom,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and trying to replace those. I made mention that I like the jelly beans. I eat jelly beans when I ride in the summer. That's my summer thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the winter, it's interesting, when it's cold, I tend to eat less
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my hands are cold or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll do like Reese's Pieces,
Okay.
which aren't so good in the summer when they melt.
Yeah, it's because as long as they're coated well.
Exactly. And dark chocolate M&Ms.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And then I also will do some dried fruit. So like dried cherries. I like dried mulberries.
Interesting. Yeah.
I really like dried mulberries. I'm quite fond of those.
Yeah.
And then dried golden berries. Sometimes I mix it up.
Oh,
And
wow. Yeah.
I do like that because I'm trying to go more the whole food route.
Yeah.
The thing with those are the dried fruit is you got to find ones that don't have the oil.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't want necessarily added sugar. I'm getting enough sugar from the dried fruit,
Right.
as it were. So I do kind of mix up those things a little bit right now, because where I've been training in, I hate to brag to everybody, but it's been really kind of cold, and
Yeah.
I've been training in a lot of, well, not cold, just cool. So I've been able to still have M&Ms and Reese's
Right.
on my training rides.
Not down here.
No, I'm not looking forward to being back there. I'm going to be back on Zwift again. I haven't been on Zwift in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had to.
Oh, right. Oh.
Yeah, I'll be back.
And I like what you're doing, and I think what's neat is that we're both not afraid to try something different.
Yeah.
My problem is sometimes I don't zero in. So I've done the cashews, I've done beef jerky, I've done sushi rice, I've taken all those things on different rides, and they can work. But then, I can't get into routine with those. So that's where I'm continuing to struggle with. So
the one thing I can tell everybody that's listening is, and I've kind of discovered this over the years, is if I finish a long ride and I am absolutely destroying the fridge, that means I didn't do a very good job.
That's right.
On my ride. Like, you should be hungry, you get home, have a shower, you should be hungry, but you shouldn't be like literally just destroying everything you can get your hands on.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you that you did not at least get an adequate amount. And there's obviously been days I've done that, and there's been days where I'm out there and it's a really nice day, and I'd say I'm going to stay out an extra hour.
Yeah, right.
Didn't bring enough food, and then I get home and I'm like, oh,
pay the price. Yeah. Well, and so do you take notes?
Not nutritional notes.
Okay.
I do for races.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually something that I don't do a good job of. Is I'm actually pretty good with races on my gastrointestinal system. I'm pretty lucky with that, because in training I'm actually not very good. But when I race, I don't know if it's because I'm going to the high intensity, and obviously you get a lot less blood flow to your gastrointestinal system when you're at a high intensity. But I don't seem to have very many GI problems racing. I also don't really do full Ironmans like you do. And maybe it's the time as well, 4.5 hours versus 10 hours or 11 hours. But so I can, and I've got I've got notes of what I do. So in a 70.3, I got it pretty much dialed in.
Yep.
And we talked about the race nutrition a little bit before, but I do keep notes on that, and it's in my checklist of the things to have. But I still think we should maybe finish this off, John, just to say, like, the race nutrition is one complete different thing.
That's right.
right? And the training and everyday nutrition, honestly, is way more important. And,
Yep.
and I can't tell you how many like podcasts I've listened to, and they talk about the race day nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like, how many A races do you have a year?
Oh,
3,
that's right.
4? You have 360 other days of the year that are important.
Yep.
And you got to look at it just like that, I think.
No, I think that's a great way to end it, and that takes us in, because at one point we're going to do a travel and race discussion, and I think that's a big part of it, of traveling and racing successfully, is making sure you're doing your normal diet as much as possible, even the week of the race. So no, this is a great topic, and I've picked up a couple of things I'm going to try at this point. So this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really glad we did this. I hope everyone else got something out of it, and it was completely enjoyable. And then just so you know, we're looking for other topics. If you guys have other suggestions, we're well versed and can talk about a lot of different things. And then we still have some things on our list that we want to talk about. We're willing to take some suggestions as well.
That's great. All right, Ted. Hey, good talking, and
you too.
Have a good training ride tomorrow.
I will. Thanks. You too.
All right, I'm going to stop live stream. Stop.